My name is Valerie Herskowitz, and I want to welcome you to Baking with Blake. Blake and I are the owners of the Chocolate Spectrum. Blake is my son, he has autism, and he'll be joining us in just a few minutes to help us bake. Today we're going to be making red velvet cupcakes, only they're going to be gluten and casein-free. I don't know how many of you have gluten allergies, or maybe your children do, and casein, which is one of the proteins in dairy, is also removed. So red velvet cupcakes are extremely versatile. We can use them for parties, you can use them for holidays. We're going to be making them today for Halloween, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a mixing bowl like this, and in which we're going to add 6 egg yolks. But don't throw away the egg whites because we're going to use them later. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a half a cup of sugar, and we're going to add some vanilla, 1 teaspoon, and we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of a dairy-free milk. And it can be anything that you find that you like that's dairy-free. This is rice milk. You can also use something that's really yummy, coconut milk, which is also really yummy. And you just use 1/3 of a cup. Now, for any of you who are used to baking red velvet cupcakes, you know that you usually use buttermilk. So to make buttermilk out of one of these dairy-free milk products, you add maybe just a half a teaspoon of cider vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and you let it sit for about 5 minutes, and you know what? Voila, you have buttermilk. And we need buttermilk for gluten-free, dairy-free red velvet cupcakes because we need a little bit of that acid in there, which buttermilk brings to this recipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the egg yolks, the milk, the sugar, and the vanilla, and we're going to put it over a double boiler. Here, what I have here is a pot of hot water, and I am going to take my whisk, which you can use a handheld whisk like this if you'd like, but if you want, you can also use an electric mixer, which you have a whisk device on top, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to go ahead and whisk this over the double boiler. I would say it's about 3 minutes until it's really nice and frothy. And when it gets almost to the point where it's light yellow. So let's go ahead and mix for about 3 minutes. Okay, so we've mixed for about 3 minutes. And I'm going to continue to mix more for another 5 minutes, only off of the double boiler. I'm not going to use the double boiler anymore, or else you're going to make scrambled eggs. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix, I would say, another 5 minutes so it gets nice and thick. Hey Blake, come in here, I have a job for you. Okay Blake, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Come back. Come here, I'll make a deal with you. I'll do the mixing. How's that? Hey, come here. I'll make a deal with you. I'll do the mixing, but I need you to put the cupcake wrappers. Can you put the cupcake wrappers in the cupcake tin? You got a deal? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so we have our egg yolk mixture. Now we're going to work with the egg whites. Blake, come on in here. I need you to pour the egg whites into the mixer. Come on in. Okay, pour these in the mixer for me. Very good. And also, Blake, if you can pour the food coloring, which is actually what we're using, is red beet food coloring. If you can pour that in, wonderful. Very, very good. We have poured, this is red beet food coloring, and we have poured it into the egg yolk mixture. Now, I use red beet food coloring, but you can use any kind of red food coloring that you want. There's liquid food coloring. I just happen to use red beet because it's natural and it gives the cake a beautiful reddish brown color to it. But if you don't care about using artificial colors, you can use regular red food coloring. There's even some natural liquid food coloring that you can buy in the market too. But this gives it a beautiful red color. So now that Blake has put the egg whites into the mixture, into the bowl, we're going to now beat up the egg whites and make a meringue. Well, first we're just going to beat them until they're a little foamy. Blake, come here. I need you to push the button. Can you push the button? Push the button. Let's get it started. Let's make it foamy. Very good. Okay, now our egg whites are foamy, and we're going to add a teaspoon of cream of tartar to make it even stiffer. Blake, can you add the cream of tartar, please? He keeps going out of the kitchen because I think he's camera shy. Blake, come on back. We got to put the cream of tartar in. Here you go. Put it right through that hole for me. That's a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Great. And we're going to turn the machine on again and whip it until it's even more foamy. Now, ultimately, we're going to whip these egg whites until they're stiff like a meringue. But before we do so, we're going to add another ½ cup of sugar into it. And then let it rip. Let's get it nice and stiff. Okay, let's check our egg whites and see if they're stiff. If they are, they're going to stay on the beaters. And as you can see, they are. So they're ready. We have one more component. We've got to add flour. I didn't say anything about flour yet, did I? So this is the gluten-free part that I want you all to listen to. When you cook gluten-free, you have to have a combination of flours. You can't just use one flour like when you cook regular. And you have a couple of options here. You can buy different flours and make your own baking mix, which in one of our subsequent videos I'll show you how to do that. But if you're a beginner at gluten-free baking, I would suggest that you buy one of the ready-made gluten-free flour mixes that are on the market. The one that I'm using today is called Better Batter. I really like this one, and I'll tell you why. It has a good combination of flours, but it also includes xanthan gum in it. Now, we have to use xanthan gum when we're baking with gluten-free flour because we need to put the elasticity into the flour to make it gluten-like. And so xanthan gum is the ingredient that we use, but it's already in this mix, so I don't have to add it. So I'm going to take my gluten-free flour mix. I'm going to use a cup. I'm going to put it in another bowl. And I'm also going to use a tablespoon of cocoa. Let's see if we can get Blake to come and put the cocoa in. Blake, come and put the cocoa in because that adds the chocolate flavoring to the cake. And of course, if you have ever had red velvet cake, you know it's a light chocolate cake. So, Blake, can you add a tablespoon, please, of cocoa to our flour? Good. Now mix it all up together for me. Mix it. Mix it all up together. Good. Make it so it all incorporates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Good job. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this flour mix and we're going to add it to our egg yolk, which at this point is now a red egg yolk mixture. So we're going to add that in. Now, you don't want to make it so you're mixing it, okay? But what you do is you just gently mix it very gently, just until you don't see any more flakes of flour in your mixture. You don't want to make, and of course, you want to make sure that it's not lumpy, but do it very gently because don't forget you whipped up these egg yolks and we need them to stay fairly whipped. We don't want them to deflate because, as I mentioned before, there's no baking powder in this particular recipe, and we want to use the eggs to make it nice and fluffy. Okay, so at this point, I've pretty much gotten it, so it's all incorporated. And now, we're going to take the egg whites that have the sugar and the cream of tartar in it, and we're going to basically fold it into this mixture. Now, when you fold egg whites into any kind of a mixture, you again have to be very careful that they don't deflate. So, a little trick that we use is we take a spatula, I use a rubber one, and I put about 2 large clumps of the egg whites into the mixture, and I just gently fold it. Now when I fold it, I use a round and over. I go round and over until it's pretty incorporated. But again, you don't want to mix egg whites or they're going to deflate. So now that you have it fairly well incorporated, there can be some white streaks in it, that's fine. You're then going to take the rest of the egg whites and mix it in until you have a mixture. Again, fairly incorporated. You want to make sure there's not too many white streaks. Probably try and get the white streaks out. But don't mix. Use the folding method. Okay. Hi. Well, we've incorporated all of our ingredients together. We have this nice, fluffy, red colored batter, and it's very fluffy because it has all the egg whites in it. And now we're going to do Blake's favorite part. We're going to scoop the mixture into our baking cup. So I'm going to let Blake do that. Blake, here you go. Go for it. You can scoop. Scoop. Go ahead. You scoop. You scoop and finish up with the heat. This is Blake's favorite part. He loves to scoop. Need some help? No, I don't think you do. You just need to shake it a little bit. Here you go. There you go. Want to do it? Go ahead, you scoop. Just got to get enough on there so it comes out. While Blake's scooping, I'm going to tell you that this recipe also makes a great cake. So if you don't want to make cupcakes and you want to make like a double layer cake, you can take 2 8-inch cake pans and it's enough batter for that. So it's up to you. We're making cupcakes today. Great job, Blake. You haven't made a mess yet. Terrific. We're going to bake them in a 350-degree oven for around 20 to 22 minutes. And then we're going to see what they're like. We're going to take them out. We're going to test them with a toothpick. Sometimes it takes a couple more minutes, sometimes not. All right, Blake's doing great. He's only got 5 more. And then we're going to pop these babies in the oven. Okay, you know what? Our cupcakes are in the oven. And actually, I forgot to tell you that that recipe makes about 24 cupcakes. So we went ahead and we scooped out 24 cupcakes. They're baking in the oven. And Blake, come on in here. We need to make frosting. What's cupcakes without frosting? So we're going to make frosting that you can eat, all right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with some powdered sugar. Now, I like to use the organic kind. Like, turn around so they don't have to look at your back. I like to use the organic kind, okay, because the organic kind doesn't have any corn products in it. But if you can't find it and you don't care about corn products, you can just use regular powdered sugar. Or if you're a real purist, you can take regular organic sugar that isn't powdered, put it in your food processor, and process it until it's powdered. But I'm able to find powdered organic sugar. So we're going to use that, and we have 3 cups. Blake, come put the sugar in. Blake, come put the sugar in. Come back. All right. Carefully with so it doesn't poof up all over the place. 2 hands, put the sugar in. Go down low. Good. Well, poofed up a little bit. That's fine. Next, we want to put in some fat, right? Well, normally if you're going to make a American buttercream frosting, you're going to use butter. So if you're not dairy-free or casein-free, go ahead and feel free to use butter. We're going to use a 1/2 cup. But since I'm making these casein-free, we're going to use 2 ingredients. We're going to use shortening, and I use organic shortening, which is vegetable shortening called Spectrum. It's non-hydrogenated. And I also use another product called ghee. Now, if you are vegan and you don't want any animal products in this, so far we don't, Don't use the ghee, just double up on the spectrum. Ghee is actually butter that's been clarified to take out all the casein and lactose. So this is butter that has no casein in it. It's amazing. It's used a lot in Indian cooking, and I use it a lot in baking because we are not vegan, but we are casein-free. So you can use this. It has a buttery taste to it, and that's why I like it. I use half and half. I use a 1/4 cup of the spectrum and a 1/4 cup of the ghee. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I have a 1/4 cup measure here. And I'm going to put the spectrum in. Measure it into my 1/4 cup. And I'm going to add it to the bowl. Okay. Let's get it all out. And then I'm going to use my ghee to give it that buttery flavor. Another 1/4 cup. This is it's not as heavy, so it goes in a little easier. Even it off so you only get a 1/4 cup. And put it right into the bowl. Okay? Now, we're going to add in some flavoring, and you can use any flavoring that you want. Depends on what you're making. We're going to use vanilla flavoring. Blake, can you come in and give us some vanilla? Put some vanilla into the mixing bowl. We're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon. Blake, go ahead. You can do it over the bowl so it doesn't spill. Very good. Really good job, Blake. Thank you. And then we're going to add some, about a pinch of salt. Blake, come put the salt in. Come back. Blake, come put the salt in. Come on. Everybody's waiting. Throw the salt in. Good job. You know what? That's excellent. Can you come here a minute? You have chocolate on your teeth. Somebody got into some chocolate, it looks like. Yeah, you do. Come here. There's some chocolate on your teeth. Doesn't look so nice for the camera. Okay, good. And last but not least, we're going to put in some liquid. Now, again, if you're not casein-free and you're not dairy-free, you can just use some milk or cream. But we are, so we're going to use, I would say, about 2 to 3 tablespoons of either rice milk or the coconut milk. Oh, you have to try the coconut milk one day. It makes a delicious, delicious frosting. So we're going to put in about 2 to 3 tablespoons. And again, this is really just approximate because you're going to have to blend it together and see what the consistency is. It might need a little more. But you don't want it too runny or else you're not going to be able to, when you put it on your cupcake, it's going to be all mushy. All right, so we're going to mix this up. Blake, you want to come push the button? Come push the button. Let's get this starting to roll a little bit. Put this in. That looks pretty good. And voila, we have frosting. Yummy, delicious buttercream frosting. Now, as I mentioned to you before, we're making these cupcakes for Halloween. So we want to have orange frosting, and we're going to put some brown sprinkles on it. We actually have gluten-free sprinkles. So this time, instead of using my red beet powder, I don't want it red, I want it orange, I'm using my natural food colorings, and I'm using a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow to make orange. But of course, if it's Christmas, you'll just use red. You can even use a little of your red beet powder. Or if you want to celebrate a different holiday, you can use whatever colors you want. So we're going to put a couple of drops of the yellow in. and a couple drops of the red. Mix it back up. And we have orange frosting. Now, if you don't care if it's natural, you can go ahead and just buy some orange food coloring or red and yellow food coloring from the supermarket and make your own. Hi, my name is Valerie Herskowitz, and this is Blake Herskowitz. He's my son. We're going to put in a half a teaspoon of vanilla. Blake, can you put in a half a teaspoon of vanilla? Yeah, put in half a teaspoon of vanilla into the bowl. Oops. Okay, we're going to put in our milk. Now, okay, can you turn it on? There you go. Just put in. Push the button. Push the button. Let's get it started. Let's make it foamy. Very good. A little while ago, you want some? Yeah? Okay, enjoy. Mmm. Yummy cupcakes. Yummy. Good cupcake? You like it? Is it good? Yeah? Okay, enjoy your cupcake.